Do you ever come up with a new feature idea only to become overwhelmed with the implementation details? Well, in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about the 6 questions that I ask myself to help me implement new features in my apps. I'm in the process of adding new features to Ticker, my activity tracker app to help you reach your time-based goals. I have a Trello board full of features that I want to add. Some are simple and some are more complicated. Sometimes on the more complicated ones, I struggle to know with where to even get started. So I came up with a list of questions to ask myself to help with the planning and implementation. The feature that I'm working on is putting goals into groups. The first question I want to ask myself is, what's the problem that I'm trying to solve here? In Ticker, activities get created over and over. And if those activities have the same sets of goals each time, it'd be so much more convenient if you could press one button and load all of the goals into that activity and start it much quicker. The next question is there going to be a need to update the data model? For this feature, yes, I am going to need to make an update. I'm using core data for this app, so I'm going to need to add a new entity called goal group that will have a name and the list of goals in that group. Then I'm also going to have to update the goal entity to have a relationship back to the goal group for the groups that a goal is in. Third, I asked myself, what's the base use case of this feature? For the goal group, a user creates a goal with a name and a set of goals. Then they'll go create an activity, select that group, and begin the activity. Finally, completing the activity updates the progress on each of the goals in the group. The fourth question is, what UI elements are needed? I'll at least need a way to create a group and then start an activity with a group. So on the Goals tab, I'm going to put a button up in the header to open up a sheet to create a new group with a name and a set of goals. On the Start Activity screen, I'll need to show all of the groups. Then, when a group is selected, all of the goals in that group will need to be selected in the goal selection part. I wasn't exactly sure how the groups would appear on this screen, but when I started implementing, it became obvious that I should use the wrapping H stack like I used in the name suggestion for starting the activity. I think it's important to say here that I don't ask myself this question expecting to come up with the final design. It's just a way for me to get started so I can complete the functionality of this feature completely. The next questions, are there any back-end changes that need to be made? For this, I'll need to create a function for saving the goal group. But when I'm saving an activity, I don't actually need to make any change because I'm still just saving a set of goals. All this feature is really doing is changing how you're selecting those goals in the UI. And sixth and finally, I asked myself if there's anything else that needs to be called out. I put this here as a way to stop scope creep. I don't think I really want to give the option of groups on an edit screen because I think the main reason for doing a group is to make it easier to start an activity. And I don't think that need is there when you're going to edit the activity. On the start scene, selecting a group is a one-way operation. There's no indication to show that a group is selected. And since there's no indication, there will be no need to update the selected group if after a group is selected, goals are either added or removed from that selection. And selecting a group will not deselect any goals. So if there's a goal that's not in a group that's on the activity already, adding the group will not remove that goal. It will just add the goals in that group to the list of goals to be tracked for that activity. After I answered all these questions, I was ready to implement this feature. Since I had a plan and boundaries set up, I was able to complete this feature in a single coding session. I am absolutely going to be using these questions again next time I get overwhelmed by a feature. Answering these questions gave me two things. One, a better understanding of the value that this feature is going to deliver. And two, a set of small tasks that need to be done to complete this entire feature. I hope these questions help you next time you want to add a feature to your app. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time.